Hey guys, Mariana Trench Creations here, and today we will be reviewing the Gup-U that comes with Kwazii and the Frogfish. Now this is probably one of the first actual reviews, which is just a review, not an unboxing, because I've gone through all of my unboxings already. You've seen them on my channel, and now we can finally get into the rest of the stuff. This was a request by Octonauts News, who's also on YouTube. Please make sure to check out their channel. They're a great friend of mine who I talk a lot about Octonauts with. Now I did do a poll of what kind of videos you guys wanted to see, which is on my community post tab. Make sure to check that out because I put lots of updates on there. You can always request what you want me to review. On my channel banner I've got everything, my entire collection, all my Gups, just everything Fisher Price. But let's start with the small frogfish anyway. So you may be thinking how I know this is the frogfish that came with the set, because recently I unboxed and reviewed Shellington and the Frogfish, which is another orange frogfish. Now, it's sort of harder to tell on camera, especially with the light I've got, but in person this one's got slightly more shade of red in it. You can kind of see here, this one is definitely a slightly different colour. It's more of a lighter one. I'd say this is more pure orange, but basically they've released a frogfish before, or should I say after, I guess, because the Gup-U set did come out before Shellington and the Frogfish. I'm not sure about this pink one that came with Kwazii and the Frogfish. I think it was just called that. But yeah, the Gup-U's date is 2015, so I'll have to check what date this one came out. But I don't mind too much that it's a repeat, whichever way around it was, because this is different colour, it's pink, although I just wish the Shellington and the Frogfish one had been more of a different colour, like maybe, I don't know, red or yellow. This one is accurate to the show Anton, the Frogfish, and the Frogfish do have detailing on their chests, got little bubble things, and they've got their two sort of webbed fins, a little fin at the bottom there, those big tails, and little lantern sort of thing, antenna. I suppose you could say it is kind of similar to the Gup-A, or rather an anglerfish, in this shape, maybe a stonefish as well. But the Gup-U didn't follow up having that sort of antenna thing at the top, just has this sort of light. Most of the Gups they released around this time. I'll show you what I mean by around this time. Most of the sets they released around this time, you can see similar ones being the Gup-H and the Gup-X. They're similar size and shape. Well, not shape, but similar size. They released the creature that it was based on. These two are not correct examples, but this one, Frogfish, going with the Gup-U because the Gup-U is based on Frogfish. They did that with the Gup-T, Sea Pig, although the Gup-T is a bit bigger. The Gup-O came with an orca, the Gup-R came with a sailfish, the Gup-Y came with a yeti crab. There are probably more examples, but I won't bore you with those. And this little octo carrier thing that came with the Shellington and the Frogfish set, as I said, I've reviewed that already, you can check it out. You can put the other frogfish in there too, because of course they are exactly the same mold, all these three. And they only did release these three frogfish. I did bring out some other orange animals. Yeah, they're all very slightly different shades. I can't find one that matches his frogfish exactly. One last thing on the frogfish, because I do have the Shellington and the Frogfish pack, I can just show you the 3D animated image of the frogfish. Of course, this is the pink one, as I said, Anton, and it just tells you it lives in the sunlight zone and eats small fish and other animals. So thought I'd bring that out because it's sort of a nice little card thing. I'm not going to cut that out though, I'm just going to keep the box. And we'll move on to the Kwazii. This is one of my better condition Kwaziis. As you can see, there's barely even a scuff on his nose and a bit on the eye, and a bit on the eye patch, but apart from that, this guy is in good condition, a bit on the tail there. But it's a very nice blue, I'd say. It is one of the nicer Kwaziis, dark blue in the middle with light blue around it. Pretty sure they have used this mold for Kwazii before, or maybe after, depending on the dates, but yeah, these two are the same molds, just different colours. This blue is slightly lighter than this middle blue. See when this guy was made, they should be the same. 2014, and the other one says 2014 too. What did I say? Yes, the Gup-U is 2015, so this Kwazii is not the original version in this mold. Could be this one. Let me check when because the Talking Gups were released all the same year, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 2014. So this came with the Talking Gup-B, so it's possible this was the original version of this mold, and then this one came after in the same mold, just different colour. And we'll move on to a few other Kwaziis. This is a different mold, but I brought him out because he's got dark blue feet. And still a different shade. It's nice how they have all these different colours. And this one as well. Similar shade of blue, but still slightly different. Moving on to some other blue characters, we've got, I'll get Tweak out of the way, I've got a couple tweaks here. Still a different blue, again this one's a lot lighter blue, yeah this is darker blue. You know I like to go out on all of the characters and bring out lots and lots of stuff. I thought I hadn't brought out lots of stuff here for this review, but maybe I did. I mean here being a similar blue but more of a green in there. I'll leave them in here. Let's move on to some Shellingtons. This is more of a green anyway. This is darker blue. This is very light blue. We're jumping all over the spectrum of blue colours. This is more of a purple, to be honest. The Shellington and the Frogfish one. This one is, on camera it looks darker blue, like quite a dark blue, but in person it's a little lighter. And the Shellington and the Gup-E Shellington. Let's move on to pesos. Whoops, Kwazii. Yeah, I quite like this peso. It's more of a green, but on the camera it looks a bit blue for some reason. The one that came with peso and the tree lobster, it is a different blue. This is sort of a matte finish on there. Well, it's sort of glossy at the back, but at the front it doesn't feel that way, which is kind of weird. This peso, darker blue again. And this one, he's got his mouth open and he's got a bit of a matte hat. This is like the Tweak one, a different shade of blue. The one that came with the claw and the repair station Gups. This peso, now I did think of creating a sort of blue squad like I did the purple squad in the Gup V review. Hopefully you've seen that. So we've got blue peso, barnacles, Shellington and Kwazii. I didn't think any of the others really had good blue suits, but so I didn't bring them out, so we've only got 4 proper ones. Hopefully you've seen my Captain Barnacles collection video. I loved making that video, it was quite fun. And my Guppy review seems to have quite a lot of views already. 15k was what it was when I last checked. Let's move on to the Gup-U. Now you may have seen I had the Guppy here. Well, oh yes, we'll get into this function later on and I'll test it out for you guys. I only brought the Gup-E here because it's a similar size. It is a bit smaller, but just in case you guys wanted to know. And as shown on the back of the Gup V box, the similar sized sets that they had, one of them was the Gup X. They all have their special functions. So for the Gup X, you can have the Octo-Ski with it. Here, the legs open up, and as I said, I'll show you that soon. Just quickly comparing this Gup-U to a Lego item. You might not have expected that, but I did bring this, and I did in fact put Kwazii in there. One of my Lego Kwaziis. There are about 3 different types of Lego Kwaziis I have, but I'd say this is probably one of the best ones. The Gup-U is fairly similar to a general submarine that you get in real life, which I think is quite nice. I just wish we had seen it in the show. Of course, the Gup-U is one of the 6 that never made it to the show, the other 5 being the Gup-Y, the Gup-T, the Gup-O, the Gup-J, and the Gup-L. The Gup-J and L, they never actually made proper big-scaled items of them. They only made Gup Speeders. You can see the rotors at the back, or propellers, and the fin here, very similar. In fact, it's the same color, and these legs are like these air tanks, very similar, or maybe these arms as well. So I thought I'd bring that out for you guys. It's got these little treads, maybe because they're legs when they pop out. You can see inside it's sort of hollow, they didn't fill it in. Wish they had, it would have looked a lot better, but it's fine. Mouth, 2 eyes, or headlights rather. It's got the little bolts around the side, and it's sort of gills, even though they're not gills, because Gups don't have gills. This little tail piece, maybe it's a propeller as well, I'm not sure. It's sort of a bit loose, I mean, all of these bits are, but that's fine. And the light up top, and the bottom, this thing is just for when it springs out. And the date here, 2015, and it's got a screw here, because this is locked into a spring, I'm pretty sure. And these undersides are sort of hollow as well, which is not very good in my opinion. These arrows, they're sort of like the arrows you have in the boxes actually. Now if we compare it to the Gup Speeder, you can just have a look for yourself. The front bits aren't yellow. I think the yellow is more accurate here, so they just didn't put that extra detail on. I wonder why, but yeah, the Speeder came with barnacles, but this came with Kwazii. They both have the light, which is nice. I always find this light in the Speeder really weird. It's got a weird feeling. And the sides, it also has the arrows. Fairly accurate. I mean, there isn't too much detail on these anyway. I also brought the Gup T Speeder here because of the date. They only made 2 new speeders in 2015, so you can see it says 2015. These 2, the Gup T and U. The big Gups were also released the same year, so this is also 2015 as we said, and so was the Gup T. So these 2 sort of go together as Gups. Now I think we've come to the time where we actually test this out. Basically it's a pullback, so you can hear it winding up sort of, and then it rolls forward and the wheels are spinning. But you can see nothing happened. You do have to put it as far back as it goes. It'll start clicking, and you should probably stop when it starts clicking. Then you let go and it goes forward, and then it'll roll up and the legs will pop open. Now, it doesn't really work on carpet. It sort of rolls a bit, but it doesn't really work. So I'm going to try this out on the floor, well, on a floor of mine which isn't carpet. And you can see it doesn't really go anymore. You don't have to push it much, but sorry about that, guys. It's sort of curved to the side for some reason. The wheels do spin for a while, but you can just stop them by putting your finger on them. One last time. Okay, so you saw it in action. It does work very well. It's stabilized. It doesn't like fall over or anything. It is a very good design and quite thoughtful, I'd say. I'm glad they did this rather than keeping it just a simple Gup like this. You can actually also just keep on spinning it and then it'll do it like this. And it'll open up like that, which is a lot easier but less fun, you could argue. So I'll just show you a bit with the legs open. They sort of pop like this, and the underside, this thing, you can sort of bend it like this. I don't know why you would, but it's sort of just on a spring. And to close it up, basically, you could either push the legs back up, or you could put this here. You can see this little yellow thing. It clips in there, that moves. So, and there's a wheel here. So, clip that in, and it works like that. So let me know what you think of this set. I love the Gup-U. I think it's very good how they created it like this with the legs and everything. Just before we go, I forgot to, in fact, show you the inside. Quickly do that, sorry guys. It is less of a standard Octonauts computer system. I mean, it is very similar to the Gup X's, but what I meant was that it didn't have any sort of, you know, Octo alert buttons or whatever. Sort of like this, but indented buttons. Doesn't have anything like that. It does have the little Octo alert in the seat bit. A lot of the Gups had this style like this with the seat and this middle bit, and those little bits around the side. You can see this one is very similar again with this, and the Gup-V as well. I had it here. A lot of the Gups had this style around that time. There's not much else going on there. There's nothing here in the back. Got the Octo alert here, but I wonder what's in this back section. Maybe it's just a bit of mechanics for this thing to work. I hope so, otherwise it's just wasted space at the back here. There's nothing in this section. It just goes up to here. Let's put Kwazii in. So of course, put his legs up and his arms, his head spins. This is one of the stiffer figures I have, like the legs aren't loose, or the head is a bit loose, but that's fine. If you know me, I prefer the stiffer characters. And yeah, he looks pretty good. The helmet, it sort of has like a point where it just stops, like it's loose here and then you put it here and it stops here. Then you have to put a bit of force in and it clicks in. Even here, you can lift it up a bit and then over the bump, like that. And he looks cool in there. The one thing I don't really like about these is this middle bit is a bit too thick, like across, because it has to make sure the character stays in there. Like, he's not really going to fall out unless you do that. But what I find is that middle bit, it sort of widens the legs, the space in between the legs, and I feel like that kind of ruins the character a bit, makes maybe the legs a bit looser or whatever. So I don't really like leaving characters in there. But apart from that, let me know what you think of this set, if you even have it, if you have any other favourite sets, and please, as I said, request anything. I'm fully open to suggestions. If I had to give this set a rating, it would probably be a 7 or 8 out of 10. I mean, it is cool. It is a smaller set, I'd say, because it only comes with wrong frogfish, 3 things. I mean, it is still pretty cool because the legs open up. It is definitely a simpler set though, as I said, but I don't really have any complaints about it though, so I think it is, I'll give it an 8 because there aren't many complaints. It's just a bit simple, which is fine though, because of course not every set can have hundreds of accessories and whatever. So I think that is probably it. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments. Again, I keep on saying this, but I love talking to you guys. It's really fun to see my notifications and see that you guys have messaged me. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I guess I'll see you next time. Bye.